Boa tarde a todos. I'm sorry, I will not speak in Portuguese. I will speak in English. But if you have questions, depois, I can probably understand them. So, thank you so much for your words, Felipe. Thank you for inviting me. Now I will make a sort of a different approach on this with music in schools. I will land up in schools in the end, I promise you. But I will do a little detour just to explain to me a little more what I'm representing, just to make sense of the whole. And I think I will end up in things that Madeleine just said we will sort of meet in the end, I hope. So I will make a little explanation of what is Jeunesses Musicales. Our making it different through music, this doesn't show, or enabling young people to develop through music is kind of what we want to do. And as Felipe said, this, this is, oh, you get it in Portuguese, what a service. This is our mission statement. And what can it mean? Well, it can mean, of course, train young musicians, or just make music available for young people. It can be doing something internationally. We want to cross all the borders, cultural borders, ethnical borders, religious borders, social borders. This is very much of our statement. And in English, we have a word that's called empower. It's a wonderful word in English. It's very difficult, though, to translate into one word, but it's like se mobilizar, fortalecer. This is expression we use very much in our projects nowadays. So, it started, as Felipe said, in Belgium during the war. The international movement started in 1945. We claim that it's the biggest youth and music organization in the world. Around 70 members, national members and associated members. At least 5 million young people, and this number is probably too little, but this is what we can confirm. And the same thing with activities. We say 35,000, I'm sure there are more, but these are the ones that we can really confirm. And it started in Brussels, Belgium, and we still have a little office in Brussels. It started in Europe, so the European map shows more like where we are and how we are spread around. You don't need to put it in detail, but there is also a world map. It's not as impressive, but we are spreading. Luckily, with the last 10 years, we've been more strongly established in the African countries. We are now working in programs to develop more in the Asian Pacific, and also, I'll trust me, in the Americas. We have some plans for the future, so we want more, definitely. So, how does this start 70 years ago? Well, Felipe said something which is very important to understand where the thinking started. We have to look at the map of the 1940, this is 1942, but actually you see what happened. And during the Nazi program, there was what's called Hitlerjugend, which is a program for children and young people. And if you translate it into French, it became Jeunesse Hitlérienne. This was a program that really encouraged young people to become young militaries, to obey, you see the pictures, you understand. There were some people in the Francophone countries that didn't like this. So they changed their program into Jeunesses Musicales instead of Hitlérienne. And the plan and the idea and the concept was totally opposite. They wanted to have a humanistic approach, tolerance, acceptance, doing things together. So this is the background of our movement, I can say. Of course, each of our members, we have like 70 members, they are very different. So it's very difficult to say exactly what is happening all over the world. But I would like to introduce you shortly to our international programs, which we have some actually, and they reflect somewhat what's happening inside the network. You see the Coalition for Culture. This is an advocacy program for movement between the countries of musicians and culture people. Imagine Festivals, it's all-style competition of performances for young artists. We have 2 world meeting centers in Croatia and in Germany, wonderful places. We have the Ethno, I will come back to that a little later. We have a jazz program. We established the World Youth Choir some 25 years ago and still existing. We are moving also into the Arab world with a new center in the Eastern Mediterranean area, very interesting and very up-to-date. Music Crossroads is a big program in Africa that we've been running for 10 years or something. Fair Play is also an interesting new project, which is to inspire young people to make music in the theme of anti-corruption. It's a music video competition, and the finals was actually in Brasilia for in the autumn last year, sorry. We have the World Orchestra. It's a big project. I will not mention so much about it. But the last one, the Young Audiences program, is the one that's going to connect us to the schools in the end. So let's say something about these international programs. I will jump into the Ethno because of pedagogical reasons, because this is an interesting project, how it works with teaching and learning. The concept is that you gather young people from different countries that play traditional music, ethnic music, folk music. It has a little different names in different cultures and continents. And the thing is that they are not there to be taught by a professor. They are there to teach each other. It's a peer-to-peer project. So if you have like one musician coming from Brazil to Sweden, they will meet people from 15 countries, and they will teach everyone their music. And tomorrow they will be taught by someone from Belgium or someone from China or from Australia or from wherever. So you go there with your music, you share it, and you come home with music from all over the world. It's a very interesting project. I could speak about that for a long time, but I only have 20 minutes. But I bring it forward because of what's happening between the young musicians when they are in this situation to share their music, the peer-to-peer effect. I don't know what I have. Yeah, it's open for individuals and, for individuals and for groups. And I have to say, these 3 wonderful ladies in the bottom that come from Bulgaria, I think, their names are Natalia and Natalia and Natalia. That happens to be so. They're wonderful musicians. I call this horizontal learning. I don't know if it's an accepted expression, but everyone teaches everyone. And it's really intoxicating when the people go to these camps, they come home afterwards and they want to do new ethno camps in their own countries. Of course, we finalized the whole working week with a big finale. And but it's the road really that counts. I'll just show you how it can be. An example from some years ago in one of these camps, you see there's a good spread of countries. So it's a fantastic mixture of young, talented folk musicians inspiring each other across all the boundaries as we have in our mission statement. So it's intoxicating, it's spreading all around the world. I think next year there will be more than 10, this year there will be more than 10 ethno camps all over the world. Also in Jordania, the first one in the Arab world, we have also in Africa, and we have also participation in Australia, so it's spreading. And this year we will have 4 musicians from Brazil participating in the Swedish ethno. Hooray. So, now let's see what I have next. Yeah, next I will jump into the activity we have in the network, which is mostly connected, strongly connected to school, and which brings us to the theme of this conference. And it's actually concerts for young audiences. Professional musicians going into schools mainly, or maybe children coming to a culture house or a culture venue. And this is more than half of all these activities we have out in the network. I used to say that it's one of the most well-kept secrets of music activities. In some countries it's a big, big business and no one really talks about it and no one really knows about it. And I used to speak a little bit about this in the perspective of the didactic questions. What and how is it done? How am I doing, Philip? I have 5 more minutes? My 5 minutes? Okay, I will continue. It started very much with the traditional concert. The concert arrangers, the orchestras, they brought children to the dress rehearsals. That was how it started. So the original was the traditional concert, you know, musicians there, audience there, and it was very much in the beginning the classical music that people wanted to implement the new classical music to people. But it's also more and more other kinds of music. But it was in the beginning very much musicians here and the silent audience here. That was very much the start of how these activities were. It has moved more into other forms, and I will just go quickly through them. You see more and more what I call the immediate concert, the extra communicative concert, with an active musician approaching to an audience. They're still here on the balcony, and the audience is still there, but the communication is really much different. What we see more and more, which I will show in the end also, the mixture of art forms, where you mix theater or dance, or where the musicians are more like venturing into acting. Some of these concerts are wonderful, some of them are awful, but sometimes it's really nice to see how it artistically develops. So I used to say that if you work with playing for children, you develop artistically. And of course we have the concerts that connects with the school curriculum. And this was a little bit, I think, what Madeleine was mentioning in one of her different options. This is increasing very much. And of course, as you heard before, this is also a big discussion, how music fits into the school in different ways. And the last one, what is more and more wanted and what we see more and more is the activating concerts, where the musicians really interact with the children, and the children are sort of part of the concert. Now I will end with discussing a little bit how we in the network talk with why are we doing it. And I have introduced very much strongly this that you can read in English and in Portuguese, and some of you may recognize it, and I also think it's in the program by incident. And it's the Convention of the Rights of the Child. And this, my friends, your politicians in Brazil and in all countries in the world except 2 have signed up to. They have agreed to adjust to this convention. Children has a right to culture. You could use it to bat them in the head. It's because they've all accepted it. So please use it. Of course, more like actively we can discuss between ourselves what we're doing. And I believe strongly, and this was also said, Margaret said it just before the lunch, I believe that children are artists. To not have culture, aesthetical activities for children is like, it's like offending. It's like, you should not do that. They are artists. They are more artists. They were born with 100 languages, as you say, and they end up with 1 or 2, or maybe 3. So this is an argument. Madeleine also mentioned the social effects. This we see a lot in our projects and our programs. It has very much so. Either they are participating, either they are but even they are also taking a part of a performance. It also has a social effect. And the personal empowerment we see extremely a lot in our projects and programs, how people grow, how they get empowered in different kind of musical projects. This is a why that we use a lot in our discussions. And of course, which is also what mentioned before here, it has a mind-opening possibility. You can also connect to whatever else you can do. So again, here we touch each other from the different presentations. This we see also in our projects, in our programs. And this is when I ask many of my colleagues in the network, why do you do concerts for young audiences? This one comes up very much. We have to give young people a diversity of experiences. Not only the things that comes automatically to them by media and whatever. And I used to provoke a little bit by showing how the popular artists becomes indirectly role models in a way that we maybe not always appreciate. And you can actually argue for that you could give them other kind of role models and not the ones that automatically comes you through the modern society. I don't have any problems with these artists. They are fine, or they were fine. But as a role model, we might want other ones. And last, music and all arts, but especially music, has a capacity to help us deal with problems. Irrationalities, I say, and you can find a lot of quotes on this. I just picked one here that I like very much. Music can reveal the nature of feelings with a detail and a truth that language cannot approach. And I'll just give you one little wonderful quotation. It's a child that was attending a concert of classical music, and they made an evaluation, and he wrote the follow. And it would be in English: when they played sad music, I started to cry because I was longing after my grandfather. And this is the kind of things that music helps us to deal with. So this is my one. I would like to mention that in the network we have very little collaboration previously around young audiences, but since some years back we now have an international competition. It's open now, actually. You can put your contributions online, and this is the 3rd or 4th year we will have this competition, and the idea with it is to encourage quality. And maybe I can come back to that later, but I think it was mentioned also here before. Music in schools can be fantastic, but it has to be with quality. Otherwise, it might have opposite effect even. So this is one ambition. We want to raise the quality in the performances and also about the knowledge that they exist. And I will now round up with... if you're very interested in Jeunesses Musicales, I have some of the latest annual report here for you. It's in English and it's not enough for everybody, but if you're truly interested, most welcome. So thank you for your attention.